News Radio 840 WHS. Good Sunday morning. Bob Sokoler, the Louisville Real Estate Show, here with you till the top of the hour. Thank you for joining us, folks, on this Sunday morning. I'm Bob Sokoler, and hopefully you'll stick around to the finish of the show. We got a lot of stuff going on. With us this week, Randy Rocky over at Swan Financial. They do an incredible job getting you pre-approved and to the closing table. And by the way, they have this incredible rate we'll talk about in a second that will just blow you away, even though everyone else is up there in the sixes. Randy's in the fours, and we'll talk about that. You can reach him at Swan Financial at 6450736. Also here, Chuck Crosby. He is the owner of the Crosby Law Offices. And not only do wills, which we'll talk about in this show, a question about it that's so important, powers of attorney, real estate closings, landlord-tenant problems, foreclosure defense, and a variety of other things. You can reach Mr. Crosby, Chuck, at 499-6360. Also here, back by popular demand, son Greg, who is returning with us. And
Howdy.
so thrilled to have him here. That's great. And you can reach me. And by the way, Greg does our marketing and photography and so much more. You can reach me if you're looking to sell your home this year or buy a house. We've got a team of agents who can help you to sell your house. I am there to come out in person, well, for free, no obligation analysis. We can talk about the process as long as you want. And then however you want to handle it down the road, we can get it together and put it on the market and sell it at your time rate. You can reach me at 376-5483, or you can go to bobsellslouisville.com. Coming up a little later in today's show, 11 mistakes that you should never make with your fireplace. Greg is here to tell you about one of the ones that he made, and we'll recap some of the other problems we've identified over the past number of years. First, let's go to the questions we're getting off of our email, thanks to our doing our Zoom show. So you can see a copy of this show by going to LouisvilleAnswers.com. That's a redirect to our YouTube channel where these videos and shows are held. That's LouisvilleAnswers.com. All right. So Chuck Crosby, we talk about wills all the time, and here's an example of why everybody needs one. Hannah sent this. Apparently, her father is dying in hospice, and he's not coherent. He did not leave a POA or will, and she's wondering, is there anything she can do now that he's in this condition? Chuck?
No, once you're in a position where you're not competent, either adjudicated, that is, a judge says you're not competent, or you are in fact not competent, you can't do anything. It's too late at that point. That's why I'm always hammering on it. It's like when you need that durable power of attorney, it's too late to get it.
So prepare now is what you're saying.
Just do it now. I mean, it's an easy document to put together, but it needs to be done.
Greg, did I hear that you've already done your will?
Yeah, in fact, I need to update my will because, as life changes and you grow and things shift under your life or shift for the good or bad, you gotta be able to update it so that your wishes are best spelled out,
Yeah, Chuck did mine a number of years ago, so that's good. And may have to update that as well. So, yeah, good stuff. And so, again, we'll give out Chuck's phone number. But, I mean, there are a lot of attorneys who do wills. I just can tell you, having worked with Chuck, he's a great guy, does a good job. We move over to Randy Rocky over at Swan Financial with his first question. Megan sent us an email regarding PMI. That's private mortgage insurance. Apparently, Megan paid her mortgage down below 78%. Is it 80% that you have to be below, Randy?
78 without an appraisal.
Okay. Well, she was ahead of her amortization schedule. And in fact, Megan says she's at 76% of the loan to value on the house. But she says she's now being denied removal of PMI insurance. And she doesn't understand why.
Right.
And is that legal?
No, it isn't. If it's conventional, if it's FHA, it stays on the life of the loan now. So that's probably what happened. She has an FHA loan.
So, and the only thing she could do would be to refi, but typically with the rates, unless she goes to your, go ahead and give your NMLS number and then eligibility of your rate.
The other thing is she can go to the Department of Financial Institutions on that, because if she's conventional, they cannot deny her not getting the PMI. So that's what I would do first before I would consider refinancing.
Right, but if she's FHA, then the only way to do this is really to refi into a conventional loan.
Into a conventional loan, but sometimes right now it makes more sense to stay in an FHA loan even with the PMI. So it just depends on the credit score and the loan value.
Even with
but she said, did you say 76 or 78%?
Well, 76 is where she's at right now, she said.
So then it might very well be that she needs to pay off and get to that 78% first. If she is a conventional, and they're not giving her any.
She's gone past that. Yeah.
She's at 76. 78 is the cutoff without an appraisal. It's higher. So 76, she for sure would qualify if she was a conventional mortgage.
I was just doing it the reverse way. I was just saying,
yeah, right.
had,
That's the other way. Yeah. Greg is working out, by the way, right now on the Sunday morning. So he's joining us from
you
the
got to
gym.
get it in. So yeah, if
When
I
you
say
can,
something,
yeah.
if I say a mistake, just let me know.
Yeah. We will, of course, quickly. All right, let's move back over to Chuck Crosby. Daniel sent us this heartbreaking email. His dad passed away late last year, left a will. That's good, stating that Daniel and his sister have half of everything, including the home. But apparently, Daniel says his dad's ex-girlfriend vandalized the house, took everything out of it, including Daniel's dad's clothes and kitchen appliances. And the will stated that she was not to get anything in the estate. So now he's questioning how should he, Daniel, and his sister proceed? Is it legal? Does he go after the ex-girlfriend legally?
Well, this is when you call the police, because if she didn't own the stuff and she took it out, well, that's theft. Now the question is, you got to be able to prove whose it was,
right?
And
that she took it.
Yeah, and that she took it. So you've got burdens of proof here, but if somebody takes the stuff out of your house, that's a call to the police.
Apparently, the house wasn't broken into, so someone had to have a key. And
did she live there? Right?
Inside job.
Yeah, right. There's no two ways about them.
Yeah, but what you run into, and I've had this happen before, is where live-in girlfriend doesn't get along with the kids or with the ex-wife. He says, "Oh, hey, I'm buying you this couch as a present, or this TV, or whatever," and it's all in his name, all his money. But he said, "Hey, this is our stuff," so that when he passes and girlfriend leaves, she takes what was in her mind, her stuff. I've seen it go that route. I've also seen it go the other route where they just pillaged. So it's just a matter of you got to get your ducks in a row and prove which scenario you're looking at.
And that could be problematic. So
it could be.
And probably the best thing to do is to tell the kids or your heirs what she's getting, you shouldn't get. And in this case, he wrote that the will stated that she wasn't to get anything. So I think that's pretty clear cut at that point.
Well, yeah, but the question is, what are they talking about? If I go out and buy a TV and, we split there's going to be the definition of what is it that he has the right to give away. For instance, he could say, and I've seen it happen where a will say, I want Chuck to have my, diamond stick pin or whatever. But the diamond stick pin's already been given away. That's not a valid bequest. You don't track the person down that has a stick pin and take it back. So if at some point he said, hey, here's this TV for you, whatever, that could in fact not be part of that will.
Got it.
But again, it's proof. What can you prove?
We'll move on. Have you ever tried to sell your house, folks, and you didn't get any offers and you're wondering, are there buyers out there? Well, we have buyers, hundreds of thousands of buyers that we can show you. If you want to have access to it, we're ready to help you. Go to bobhasbuyers.com, bobhasbuyers.com, and then fill out the form, send it in, and I'll get in contact with you. We move back over to Randy Rocky over at Swan Financial. Andrew just got turned down for a mortgage to buy a home. And in this email, Randy, he is asking us to go over one of the most common mistakes a buyer can make when applying for a loan that would get them turned down. So I've got a couple of things here. I'll name the topic. You give me a one line as to why that's important. Okay.
Well, let me give you the first common mistake.
Okay.
Is not using Swan Financial. And let
there
me tell
you go. Okay.
No, and I sincerely mean this, over a bank or a captive lender, because we have 50 different companies and underwriters that want our business that have different programs, and we can qualify a lot more people than a person that only has one set of products. But go ahead.
Go ahead. All right. So here we go. Do not deposit large sums of cash. Why?
If you deposit large sums of cash, you have to source it. But if it's past 60 days before you close, then you're fine.
Okay.
You can make that work. And we ask people usually to put that in a savings account, so we don't even have to look what else they're transacting on checking. So, but if it's inside 60 days, that is a problem because you have to source where you got that money from.
Do not make any large purchases.
Because of debt to income. You don't want to make a large purchase and finance it because now your debt compared to your income changes.
Don't co-sign loans for anyone.
Same thing, debt to income, because now if that person you co-sign for does not fulfill the obligation, they're coming after you. So it's part of your debt to income ratio.
Do not switch bank accounts.
Yeah, we can work through that. Because you just take the statement from the last account to the new one, but it's just easier for underwriting to see it. But that's not a necessity.
Do not apply for new credit cards or credit.
Yes. Do not apply because, again, you have a debt to income ratio. We have to do a letter of explanation, even if you decide not to do it. So the staying out of getting any new credit is a must, or it's not a must, but it's a great idea to do.
All right, final one. Do not close any accounts. That would be kind of unusual. Why is that?
The reason is then if you close the accounts, it could change your credit score, and it's something that you just don't want to do. Just kind of do everything status quo. If we have you approved, keep everything kind of going the same way, and then once you close, then you can start moving things if you need to.
Got it. All right. Now, if there are any changes, of course, discuss with your lender to make sure they know and get them to approve it first. I think that's important too.
That's correct.
All right. Very good. If you want to see what people are saying about us in terms of reviews of our Sokoler team, you can head to LouisvilleZillow.com or LouisvilleGoogle.com. We made it easy for you to check our reviews out. Back over to attorney Chuck Crosby in his closing office. Brittany purchased a house last year where the listing said that the countertops were granite, the windows had been upgraded to triple pane. The condo association is responsible for the replacement of the roof. But Brittany did not have an inspection because the market was so hot. She was afraid of losing the deal. So now she's finding out that the countertops were not granite. The windows were only double pane. Condo association says she's responsible for her portion of the roof if and when it needs to be replaced. So is there anything she can do at this point, Chuck, 6 months after purchasing the condo and moving into it?
That's not too far down the road. Statute of limitations haven't passed.
Okay.
Saying that it's granite when it's not, what's the comparable difference? So what we need to look at is whether or not it's a substantial misrepresentation. If I tell you the glass came from Italy, but it came from Spain, is that really a difference? It's still glass, right? But granite and, if it's Formica, well, there's a significant monetary issue there. And the price was based on what their understanding of.
Well, here's my question to that, Chuck. Here's my question to that, because generally, if it's not a cash transaction, an appraisal is going to be done, right?
Yeah.
So even if, let's say, the agent misrepresented the listing, and this would be a case study, maybe to the answer, but if the buyer walks through and I would hope the buyer would be able to tell the difference between Formica and granite, right? I mean, you would hope the buyer's agent.
But there are differences between granite. There's, the high granite, and then there's the, the low composite, there's a variety of prices.
So going back to your point of like damages and those things, even if there is there any competency on the buyer for not catching that? Even if there wasn't an inspection, the buyer walked through the house. Maybe they did a final walkthrough and they signed off. And
be what a reasonable person would do. You walk through, you look at it. I'm not going to be able to tell the difference between granite and the composite. I just can't do it. And I've looked at them. So I can't tell the difference. And I think I would be considered a fairly sophisticated purchaser. The thing is, do you ever really, as a realtor or as a seller, want to go into something where you admit, I misrepresented that, but hey, no harm, no foul?
Yeah, well, no,
never.
So
that puts you behind the 8-ball automatically.
What is the statute of limitations on this? So this is 6 months. Is it a year out from when you purchased it? Is there?
Well, it starts from when you knew or should have known.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's different statutes of limitations that can apply in these situations. The shortest one's going to be a year. So, get everything done as quickly as you can. Plus, the longer time goes on, the less your, hey, this was a big deal to me, is going to be a believable argument. 5 years down the road, you go, oh, hey, I hate the whatever, and
I need a new countertop.
Yeah. It's like sending the hamburger back to the kitchen after you've eaten 3/4 of it.
I've seen that happen. Not with me.
Yeah.
Seen it happen though. Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, by the way, 11 mistakes you should never make with your fireplace. One of them that Greg already made. Continuing with us, Chuck Crosby. He's the owner of the Crosby Law Offices and does a variety of things, including a great job at closings. But remember the wills. We've already had a question about that, powers of attorney and other things. 499-6360. If you're looking to get a home loan, Randy Rocky is the guy you want to talk to over at Swan Financial. They can help you get pre-approved and to the closing table. You can reach Randy at 645-0736. And as you're about to hear in a commercial, he has incredible rates and they're legit deals here. Also, son Greg, who does our marketing, photography, and so much more, is actually working out already, but stopped long enough to join us on this show. And you can reach me, Bob Sokoler. You're thinking of selling or buying, I'd love to talk to you. Come out for a free, no obligation ideas, planning of what can be done. Just call me, 502-376-5483, or go to bobsellslouisville.com. Back in a moment on News Radio 840 WHAS. News Radio 840 WHAS, Bob Sokoler, the Louisville Real Estate Show, here with you till the top of the hour. Continuing with us, Randy Huaki, who is the second two big guys over there. He's one of them, Swan Financial. 645-0736 is the direct number. Chuck Crosby, the Crosby Law Offices. They do a great job of closings and wills and powers of attorney and landlord-tenant disputes, a variety of other things. You can reach Chuck at 499-6360. Son Greg is here with, he's working out, but he's stopping to talk with us. He does our marketing and photography. And you can reach me, Bob Sokoler, if you're thinking of selling this year or beyond. That's easy. Call me, free, no obligation. We'll talk. I can come out. We can review. 376-5483 or bobsellslouisville.com. All right, so 11 mistakes you should never make with your fireplace. What number one is skimping on maintenance. Important to make sure it's properly maintained. Chimney sweep, have them check it on a regular basis. Also, not minding the mantle. So, Greg, let's get into this just a quick. I don't want to belabor it.
Yeah, so it wasn't a mistake. It was a design decision, delayed design decision. And we thought we could go without a mantle in our design, and the fireplace put out too much heat. I burned a TV, and now, as Randy mentioned earlier off the show when we were discussing this, he has a TV over his fireplace too. It's high enough above the fireplace, and he has not burned his TV. So each fireplace has different specs, manufacturer standards. You make sure that you don't have combustible materials too close. Those type of things are big mistakes, but don't put a TV too close if there's too much heat. Pay attention.
Yeah. And Greg will tell you why. Remember, things change. You want to keep your mantle and fireplace up to date with the way the style is. Letting clutter accumulate, things on top of that mantle could make it look old and outdated. Letting ash build up in your fireplace. You want to make sure it's properly cleaned and maintained. Again, we talked about suspending a TV screen. Not so good if you don't have a mantle, and be careful where you put it. And don't forget about carbon monoxide risks, because it does put out carbon monoxide, so make sure you have a detector somewhere close. Burning the wrong wood can be a problem. There's certain types that your fireplace is approved to use. Skipping the screen can be a no-no with those embers jutting out, possibly catching the rug on fire. Forgetting to open or close the flue before or after, and not anticipating for emergencies. You want to be vigilant when using a fireplace, and you have a fire extinguisher handy. So those are some of the things that you need to watch out if you have a fireplace and you're using them this year. We move over to more questions. Thomas owns a condo, Chuck Crosby, here in Louisville in a 3-story building. Apparently, the condo unit above his developed a leak in the bathroom that worked its way down into Thomas's bathroom. It destroyed the ceiling above his tub. And so now Thomas is trying to figure out who's going to pay for the damage to the bathroom. He would presume it's going to be the tenant or the condo owner above his. But is that standard? What would you say?
Well, you've got it. Well, there is no standard. Each condo association is going to be a little bit different. But typically, if it's something that where the guy right above you has a leak and it damages something below you, well, first off, you have to determine what portion of all this is the condo going to take care of. If there is a portion, well, great, it's taken care of. That portion that's not taken care of, well, it's like anything else. If I come into your house and start pouring water on your rug or whatever, and I cause damage in there, well, you're going to come after me for it. Now, the way I've seen it roll out with condos is when you have a condo, there's an insurance policy that covers the things the condo is responsible for. And then there's a policy that butts up to it for each individual unit owner. At least you ought to be getting that. Certainly, if you have a loan, you're going to have it. If you're buying it cash, you still want to get it. And you would contact that insurance company because you want to have that thing fixed, obviously. And then typically they go after the other person. That's how I've seen it roll out generally. In cases where there aren't insurance, you just sue them.
So small claims court come into this?
Well, it depends on the dollar amount. If it's over $2,500, you're going to be in district court or circuit court.
Got it. All right. Back over to Randy Rocky at Swan Financial. Randy, Elizabeth sent us an email saying that she just inherited a house from her father who passed away. The mortgage lender will not, we won't name for obvious reasons, wants to charge Elizabeth a fee for assuming the mortgage. She's wondering, is that legal?
It used to not be that way, and probably Chuck would be able to tell you that. You just assume a VA loan, and that was what it was. On what they're charging now is up to a half a point, is what I understand, to assume a loan. So I would assume it is legal. Because they're doing it now. Where used to, you didn't even have to give an application or a credit score.
No.
You would just assume the loan no matter what. But now that's all changed in the last 20 years.
Wow. All right, back over to Chuck Crosby, the Crosby Law Office. Alice says she listens to our show every week, has a problem regarding disclosure. She sold the home last year that she owned and is now being sued because she did not disclose that a new subdivision was being built behind her home. Alice says it was public information. She did not feel she had to disclose it. What are your thoughts, Chuck?
I don't know that you have to disclose that. I can see where there might be a problem if they came up and said, hey, is there a subdivision being built back behind here? And she said, oh, absolutely not. I can see a problem there, but I don't know that you could be reasonably held to that standard. Now, that's not to say that you can't sue everybody for anything.
Right.
The question is, are you going to win? If she knew that that was something that they were particularly interested in, no, I'm still not. I'm thinking there's a really hard row to hoe there to make a seller liable for that.
Okay. All right. That hopefully that helps Thomas with that information. Randy Rocky over at Swan. Donna is a happy lady this morning. She's inheriting a good chunk of change, she says in this email. And Donna is wondering, can she pay off her mortgage early?
Yes, absolutely. And there should not be a prepay penalty with pretty much every mortgage now. There are certain situations on if you're not getting a mortgage from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, that you can't pay it off. But she'll have to look at the documents to make sure. But I would assume that she does not have a prepayment penalty. And if she does, it should not last, worst case scenario, over 3 years.
So she'd have to be in the house 3 years and then she could pay it off if that was the case.
Worst case, but more than there's a 99% chance, 99.9 that she can pay it off at any time.
Okay, good. And where would someone go to look to find that information if it's payable?
She can call me and I can go over that with her and we can go through it, or talk to Chuck,
right on the note,
call the lender.
But it's on the note. Is it where
it's right on the note.
And the sixth paragraph down generally.
Right. And she should be able to call the lender and say it's paid off. Now, they might not encourage her to do it, and they might not tell her something. But yes, Chuck is correct on the note.
All right.
And so if she gives us her closing, what her closing was, it would be easy to be able to look at it and say, hey, you don't have a prepayment penalty, or you do.
Yeah, she may not have the note handy, but that should be accessible through the closing attorney is what you're saying.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Back over to Chuck Crosby at the Crosby Law Office. William is building a new house in Henry County. He wrote us in an email with a concern. The well, Chuck, for his new home was drilled 6 inches onto his neighbor's lot by mistake. The builder's refusing to the issue, making it his problem. The septic engineer from the county says the well should have been drilled much closer to the actual home. So there's a problem between him, William, and his builder. He's wondering, how does he proceed? How should a homeowner proceed with a dispute with their builder?
Has it closed or not? Does he own the land or not?
He says he's building the house, so it hasn't closed. And I don't know whether he owns the land.
Yeah, if you own the land and you're having a house built on it, there's different practicalities involved. If you don't own the house, you have more leverage, to say, well, I'm just not buying it. The code folks have said this isn't where it ought to be. Put it where it ought to be, or we've got a problem. If there's loans involved, is he going to be able to get a certificate of occupancy if the well isn't properly situated?
Right.
All this stuff kind of comes into play. If he already owns the lot, well, now you've got all this stuff that was put up there. You're kind of stuck with what you've got on your land. So then it's just a typical, hey, we contracted to do A, you didn't do it, and let the courts decide from there. So there's different practical ways of going about it. But my first thought is, if the code folks are saying it's not in the right spot, that gives you an awful lot of pull to say, hey, put it in the right spot, or this just isn't closing. And the lender will be involved in that. If you can't get a CO, you're not going to get a loan up.
True. Hey, Greg.
Well, my question would be, I was going to say, my question would be, how did the well get put in the wrong spot? Because You're
Yeah.
going to have people come out there and do surveys. These builders are going to be very specific before they break ground. A competent builder,
Well,
and
now you're assuming a few things.
Right. I was getting ready to back that up with that answer. I'm assuming that the builder is competent because, and I'm not necessarily defending all builders, but we've had cases where the clients are involved in certain steps. So if he owned the land and he started that process, and the homeowner, the landowner, was in contact with the septic, well, if they put it in the wrong place, and and we're assuming they're competent too, because they should know where the right and wrong place to put a well in is as well. So somebody did something wrong, and that's where we go to Chuck to see how
I'm just reminded of when I first came to Kentucky in 1986. I was doing stonemasonry and construction work, and I remember seeing builders walk off the lots. They say, "Well, here's this spot. My stride is so many feet, and now we're marking out our lot based on that." Also, with determining where there's a well, I'm reminded of a case. I think it's down in Washington County, where let's just say the judge allowed evidence of a person using dowsing rods.
Wow.
The little forked whatever, you go out there
right to find
where the water's at. Or I actually saw a court case down there where the judge allowed evidence provided by a water witch, I think they call them.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's a name for it.
Hot profession.
All right.
Yeah.
We are out of time, guys. Interesting conversation. Hopefully that helped with that question. A reminder, if you want to see what sellers are saying about us, you can go to LouisvilleSellersTalk.com. That's LouisvilleSellersTalk.com. Our thanks to Chuck Crosby, the owner of the Crosby Law Offices, who does wills, living wills, powers of attorney, durable powers of attorney, healthcare surrogate information, and a variety of course, let's not forget real estate closings. You can reach Chuck 499-6360. Also, Randy Rocky, spectacular job, Swan Financial, as you heard in the commercial, an incredible mortgage rate, and it's legit. Call Randy to get more information at 645-0736. My thanks to my son, Greg, who does our marketing, photography, and so much more. We're stopping from his workout this morning to work with us. And then if you're looking to sell your home now or in the future, please don't hesitate. Give me a call. I'll come out for a free, no obligation estimate of discussion of what the plan should be and the path. And if you're looking to buy, we've got agents who'll be able to help you as well. Simply give me a call anytime on my cell phone, 376-5483, or go to bobsellslouisville.com. We're out of time. See you next Sunday on News Radio 840 WHAS.